Okay, scary numbers. Wow. Was the mass importation of immigrants from Europe via Ellis Island justified?
Scary numbers. We're talking about numbers because we have a 37.
Okay, that's going to be dodge number one. Moving on to try number two. Was the importation of immigrants via Ellis Island justified?
You instigate the question, sir. The panelist above you is the one that does that. This is an open panel now. So that means if you
okay, it's going to be dodge number two. Moving on to try number three. Were the immigrants imported from Ellis Island justified? Was that a justified importation of immigrants? Okay, I'll take that as a concession. Thank you. Host, we can move on.
Constitution, what is your next question? So that I can make sure that I do the right one.
All right, so the first question will go to Cringy. Cringy, you will have 3 minutes. The timer is on the screen. Mother will have a 2-minute rebuttal. Then we will go back to Cringy for 1 minute after that. Then we will alternate. Mother will receive the second question first. The same format will continue throughout the questioning. After the 1 minute round, we will open it up for 4 minutes. That just brings it to 10 minutes per question for basic conversation between you two about the topic. So, all right.
Okay, here's your first question. Should the nation's border policies prioritize humanitarian values over national security interests, protection from criminal organizations, and sovereignty?
Yeah, I believe our main priority is our sovereignty. I believe we can forward that goal of being and staying a sovereign nation and enforcing our strong borders as we have under, to my knowledge, all administrations, as well as complying with the international law, like the 1951 Act on Refugees, and making sure we apply with not only our asylum laws, but also international asylum law. I think it would be just immoral to let countless innocent refugees go have no place to seek refuge in and leave them stranded at the U.S.-Mexico border, or any border for that matter, because they are not allowed to seek asylum. I would be maybe for banning or restricting defensive asylum claims, but when it comes to specifically affirmative asylum claims from people seeking asylum at a port of entry, or even not at a port of entry, just seeking it affirmatively, I would say that restrictions on that are very much against, and I think the Supreme Court is as well, as they have struck down every attempt to restrict asylum by the executive branch, not through some sort of policy by Congress.
Okay, are you done, Cringy?
Yep.
Okay, Mother, same question. Would you like me to repeat it?
No, that's okay. National security, when it comes to our border, is the main purpose of a border. When it comes to asylum claims, I feel need to make sure that they have a ground to stand on when they're claiming asylum. I think the problem with asylum claims is that we're granting people or letting people into the country based on economical hardships in their country. I think this is a problem. I think we have certain set standards that we need to abide by when it comes to asylum. I also think that there needs to be a proper vetting process at the border, especially when we have large caravans coming through the border. I don't believe that catch and release is a good policy, and I believe that the closest thing that we had to making sure that the asylum claims that were coming across the border were good were the stay in Mexico policy. I think that was a good policy, and it also allowed the American government to be able to vet anybody that was going to be claiming asylum to stay in Mexico until we got to hear that claim, or until their number came up. I don't believe that humanitarianism should come before national security. I think that our national security needs to come first.
Okay, Cringy, would you like to rebuttal that for 1 minute?
Yeah, for sure. It is going to be the case that we do in fact vet asylum seekers. We have 2 biometric checks done by FBI offices in foreign offices in places like El Salvador and Venezuela. The notion that we do not run any biometric checks or background checks on asylum seekers is just going to be completely false. The MPP is not only, in all likelihood, against the international asylum law we agreed to in the 1951 Act, but also is antithetical to the entire concept of asylum. The entire concept of asylum is that somebody is in immediate danger and in immediate harm and needs to seek refuge immediately, denying them that refuge and denying them the freedoms of roam in the country they're seeking refuge in, and making them stay in a place like Mexico would be actively harming them and is literally antithetical to the point of asylum. To even suggest this is to disregard the concept of asylum entirely.
Constitution, would you like them to have a rebuttal for that, or would you like to move on to the next question?
Yeah, I'm going to open it for 4 minutes, and y'all can just go back and forth on that. No personal attacks. Keep it respectful. Here you go.
Okay, well, I disagree. We all know that biometrics and things like DNA are not being taken at the border. If they were being taken at the border, people that have been removed from this country and then let back in through the southern border without any checks, any biometrics done at all, we have proof that this has happened, and we need to look no further than Lake and Riley. Also, Judge,
are you denying? Wait, what?
No, Jocelyn Nungery were also removed and then let back into the southern border without any biometrics or anything. And then when they were booked into county jail for multiple different offenses, they were released, and ICE agents were not contacted to pick them up. So when to say that we have proper vetting at the southern border in every case would be false. We know this by
was Laken Riley's attacker an asylum seeker?
Did I say anything about him being an asylum seeker? You said something about
We're talking about asylum.
Yes, and we're talking about the fact that you said that they were all given biometrics and everything at the border.
Yes, I said. Yep, I said people who are. I said asylum seekers. I said asylum seekers are given biometric checks. That is true. Was Laken Riley's asylum? I'm going to ask it. Was Laken Riley's attacker an asylum seeker?
No, but
Okay, so why'd you bring that up?
Abrego Garcia was.
Are we bringing up Abrego Garcia right now?
Well, I mean, this is
How's
another.
this relevant to my argument?
Well, it's another instance where somebody was removed from the country and then came back in through the southern border, and was then caught again, and then having to give an asylum claim that was denied twice, and came up for deportation, and was not.
So it looks like the system worked. It looks like the system worked then, did it not?
No, because if he would have been properly vetted at the border, then he would have not been let back in, since he had already been removed.
Wait, I'm sorry. He got caught. He was an illegal immigrant, correct?
He had already been removed before he came back in.
Yeah, and then he came back in because he came back in as an illegal, correct?
He came back in through the southern border, yes.
As an illegal.
No, he
So if an illegal immigrant comes,
he wasn't a godaway. He came in through the southern border. We are talking about the security at the southern border. We are talking about the fact that you said that DNA.
Okay, by what visa? What means?
You said that biometrics were taken at the border, and to assume that they aren't would be untrue. I am simply
asylum seekers
rebuting that claim.
Do get biometric scans. That is true. So I'm just curious. Are crimes committed by individuals in a group representative of that whole group? Okay, wait, I'm sorry.
And I've given
Do biometrics work every single time?
30 seconds.
Do biometrics work every single time? If they have a record in their country and we have a database with that country, we share information with that country on their criminal records, yes, we absolutely do.
Okay, I'm sorry. Do administrative errors happen?
Okay, so are you changing the?
It would be ridiculous to say that because there are some instances of crimes being committed by asylum seekers that therefore biometric that we are not doing any biometric checks or scanning at the border. That would be an absurd and ridiculous claim. The fact of the matter is, we are doing biometric scans at the border. We are doing biometric scans. There is a vetting process. To claim that there isn't is absurd.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Moving on. All right. The next question will go to Mother Triss.
Let's see here. Should the U.S. immigration system massively increase the number of employment-based green cards to eliminate the transition backlog and grant foreign professionals immediate permanent status? Or is a current system of long-term temporary status a necessary control mechanism?
Current status is appropriate for the vetting and the green card status as well as visas. I do not think that we need to increase the number of H-1B visas nor green cards in order to fix any kind of backlog. If we do that, we're risking national security. When we start forcing people through into this country in order to fix a problem, we're just going to create more problems. Also, we have more people waiting for their citizenship, not specifically for visas, but other like asylum that claims that are actually relevant, refugee claims that need to be heard. So I think that if we're gonna put those people on the back burner, it definitely should not be for increasing green card status or any kind of visa status. I also think that it hurts the American worker. The more people that we bring into this country and offer them work, the less work there is for the American people. So I think that we need to take into consideration demand as well as resources, because resources being spent on people that we're giving green card status to, especially if they're coming here and they do not speak English, they need to learn our ways of life. It's going to take resources. It's going to take taxpayer dollar resources to be able to get them to the point to where they're going to be able to be in order to be educated, to be working, to be trained, all of these things. We do not have the resources for this. I don't think that that would benefit the country at all. I think that we need to stick to the process that we have until we can figure out exactly who is here and how many people we need to bring into this country in order to maximize our economy as well as our innovation.
Cringy, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, it's going to be a fact that immigrants are economically and fiscally beneficial over their lifetimes. I see no reason not to increase the amount of green cards that are handed out and not remove the artificial limiters and caps on visas that we currently have, other than one of purely of xenophobia. I would be curious if my opponent would say that the immigrants that came over from Ellis Island were justified because back then there was a substantially less vigorous vetting system, and plenty of those immigrants also did not know English. To suggest that immigrants aren't economically or fiscally beneficial, or to suggest that immigrants are somehow negatively impacting this country in some profound way would just be false.
Mother, would you like to rebuttal 1 minute?
According to the CBO, illegal immigrants and immigrants in this country that are not naturalized or are using resources cost the American taxpayer about $150.7 billion every single year. These costs will increase the more we let into the country, especially if we are talking about children, if we are talking about families coming here on green card status or visa status, we are talking about educating these children, we are talking about resources, we are talking about all of the amenities that they are going to need. They are not a fiscal net positive, they are a fiscal net drain. Now, once they are actually here, establish themselves, and actually are able to work, speak English, and adhere to the customs that we have here, at that point in time, then they can actually become a net positive on the economy. Until that point, they are a drain on the economy. The resources that we use in order to house and fund them costs more than it does in the tax revenue that they bring in, which is only about $90 billion.
Time. All right. Well, I'll open it up for both of you.
4 minutes, guys. Go ahead.
Okay. So if we look at data from the Cato Institute, if we look at data from the Harvard Business Institute, if we look at data from basically National Bureau of Economic Research, if you look at all of that data, every time it says that immigrants are fiscally beneficial, they are economically beneficial to our country over their lifetimes. To look at things within the lifetime of of 18 years when an immigrant is a child, or to look at an immigrant's economic impact within the first 5 years of an immigrant coming here, is forgetting why we want immigration. It is a long-term investment into our countries. So I'm going to ask the question: was the importation of immigrants via Ellis Island justified?
This is an open panel, son. This is the 4 minutes. I don't get to take questions from you. I get to rebut everything you just said. That's how this works. So incorrect. Again, $150 billion. And if we actually look at the CBO and we take into consideration other data that has been compiled, the amount of resources that are being used by immigrants, non-legal citizens, versus American citizens is more than that native-born American citizens are actually using. So when we take into consideration those three aspects and the resources that are being used, and the fact that native-born Americans are taking up less resources than immigrants and non-legal immigrants in this country, then we need to take into consideration the net fiscal drain of $150.7 billion versus the net fiscal positive that you say there is. Even if the net fiscal positive, when we add the revenue that they bring into the country, which is about $90 billion, we also have to take into consideration the subsidies that are being sent to their countries that is not being taxed by our government, which means that money is not going into our economy. It's going to base other economies. So $60 billion went to Mexico last year from people sending their money back over to Mexico. That's $60 billion that our economy doesn't get, doesn't go into our resources. Those taxes don't go into our Social Security, our Medicaid. That is money that is sent out of the country, that is made inside the country, that we do not profit from. So that is, we're not taking that money into consideration. So when you want to take that money into consideration with $150 billion, you're looking at about $210 billion every single year with the money that they're sending outside the country. Remittances are a problem.
Okay, scary numbers. Wow. Ellis Island, was the mass importation of immigrants from Europe via Ellis Island justified?
Scary numbers. We're talking about numbers because we have a 37.
Okay, that's going to be dodge number one. Moving on to try number two. Was the importation of immigrants via Ellis Island justified?
Debate where you instigate the question, sir. The panelist above you is the one that does that. This is an open panel now. So that means if you
it's going to be dodge number two. Moving on to try number three. Were the immigrants imported from Ellis Island justified? Was that a justified importation of immigrants? Okay, I'll take that as a concession. Thank you. Host, we can move on.
Constitution, what is your next question? So that I can make sure that I do the right one.
Oh, hang on. I killed the wrong one.
It should be to what extent?
Yeah, I killed the wrong one. Hang on. There you
No
go.
worries. Okay, this goes to Cringy first, please. To what extent should federal funding be immediately allocated to hire more immigration judges and administrative staff to process this massive backlog? And what specific statutory or regulatory changes should be enacted to expedite the process without compromising due process standards for legitimate claimants?
Yeah, I would probably just, actually, I have this other response written down. I might as well just read that. Yeah, in order to deal with the asylum backlog, we should increase funding to immigration judges and restrict asylum claims that are in defense of deportation. Who's the echo?
I'm not sure.
Sorry, this is really...
It might be me. Give me a second.
It could be me. Go ahead.
I love that ChatGPT.
Okay, in order to deal with the asylum backlog, we should increase funding to immigration judges and restrict asylum claims that are in defense of deportation. We should not ban asylum, as that would be a violation of international law and would leave untold numbers of people with no safe country to seek refuge in. Nor should we implement policies like Remain in Mexico, which is not only a violation of international law, but is also antithetical to the concept of asylum.
Okay, since he didn't understand the question, I'm going to answer it. I think that The number of or the number of judges that we have that hear these asylum claims is sufficient when we don't have 10 million people surge the border in 4 years. We don't have this kind of a problem normally seeing these asylum claims, and while these asylum claims are being heard under the current system that we have, they are able to stay here. They are able to stay here. They are able to work. They get their ITIN numbers, and they are actually able to feed into the system. These are the people that are actually here that are waiting to have asylum claims heard. We do not need more judges to fill this void. What we need is we need to make sure that we have actual security and a closed border. That way we don't have the backlog that we have right now. As far as what's going on right now, if you're being picked up or your asylum claims are being denied, you will be deported. The Supreme Court is very stringent when it comes to TPS status in the United States of America, and that's why they just removed it for citizens from five different countries. I think that these processes need to be a little bit more stringent, in my opinion, and I don't think that hiring more judges is the answer. I think that we need to keep with the system that we have. We just need to enforce the laws that are on the book.
Okay, Cringy, you have 1 minute to rebuttal that.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think the current 800 judges that are allocated, immigration judges that are currently allocated to our immigration system is nearly enough for the hundreds of thousands of people who want to immigrate here per year, and the hundreds of thousands of people who could possibly need their services. I also would ask my opponent what they mean by a closed border. To my knowledge, the border has been closed. Has there been some sort of dereliction of duty by some sort of administration? Is there something I'm not aware of? Because I've never heard of this term, closed border. What do you mean?
Yeah, that would be the prior administration where we had over 5,000 coming through every single day. And we even had legislation put on the table where that would be the cap, where 5,000 a day would be let into the country. There is no way with the Border Patrol resources that we have down at the border that we could have properly vetted 5,000 people every single day into the country. So that is what I mean by, did we not have a closed border? No, we did not. We had that opened up the border.
What defines a closed border? Like, is it encounters? Is it like, what is it?
Caravans. We had people sleeping under bridges waiting to be supposedly seen by ICE. They were being seen and released within 24 hours into the interior of the country. This has never been done before in the history, and that is why we have the problems that we are having with deportations right now. The border
I'm sorry.
and everybody knows that.
So wait, when you say border was wide open, are you saying that like Joe Biden wasn't enforcing a law? There's a dereliction of duty? Like, what's the...
That's exactly what I just said.
Okay, so what law wasn't he enforcing?
The President of the United States is charged with national security. His number one priority is making sure that the American people are secure in their persons and their property.
Okay, so that's going to be dodge number one. Moving on to try number two of answering my question. What law was he enforcing?
Refuses to enforce border and immigration law, which is
okay, it's going to be dodge number two. Moving on to try number three. What law was he not enforcing?
I will... So you're going to stop interrupting me. When he fails to do his job and allows...
It's going to be dodge number three. I'll take that as concession.
...to be thwarted, that means that the president is derelict in his duty in protecting the American citizen from all threats, foreign and domestic, coming across that border.
Ready to answer my question, or...? Nope. Okay, I'll take it as a concession. Host, we move on.
What is this kid doing? Anybody?
It's not your job to ask questions, Cringy.
Right, you're supposed to be debating, Cringy, not asking questions.
Like, I don't know what I'll take that as a concession. I'm not...
Okay, wait, I'm sorry. What is the... Wait, I'm sorry. What is the Socratic method?
You don't run this live. I hope you... Like, I don't understand what you think you're doing.
All right.
Is the Socratic method... Wait, is the Socratic method an invalid form of argumentation within this live? If it is, then I should have been informed of this before.
Look, y'all can use the open 4 minutes for whatever you feel like you need to use it for. But now we're moving on to foreign policy.
Okay, this goes to Mother. The U.S. often justifies the imposition of tariffs, particularly on high technology and critical mineral imports under Section 232. Critics argue this is a pretext for protectionism, incurring significant economic costs for U.S. consumers and downstream industries. To what extent is the domestic economic cost of widespread strategic tariffs and accountable trade-off for the purported gain? Sorry, it's hard for me to see. Purported gain in national security. Did you get all that?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, so when you take a look at the reason for tariffs, tariffs are a multifaceted tool that the President of the United States can do to secure manufacturing in the United States of America, to secure trade, which means fair trade from country to country, and also for foreign policy. He can use tariffs for these three things. So in order to protect manufacturing in the United States of America, in order to be able to produce the chips and the equipment that we need here with the minerals that we are bringing into the country, or that we are making contracts to sign with these countries through the tariffs, we are going to need this equipment, and this is important for our national security, because if we don't have the technology that we need secured in our country to run our military equipment, as well as our electrical grids, our devices, and everything that we need for communications as far as military is concerned, these tariffs are a strategic move by the president to make sure that we block out China, so that our foreign adversary that is putting a monopoly on chips right now is set into a block. So if we're trying to make moves with Taiwan or TCMA or anything like that, we're going to need to put tariffs on certain countries on certain items that are coming into the United States, or we're not going to be able to protect those manufacturing jobs. If we allow things like auto parts or our auto industries to fail because we are importing more foreign cars and more foreign parts, but we are the trade going in and out to their country, especially when it comes to automobiles and stuff like that, that's going to hurt our manufacturing line in the United States of America and make us more reliant on foreign adversaries for the equipment that we need in our own country. If we are to let this go and we don't enact tariffs and we allow certain countries to have higher tariffs on certain goods that we are shipping or are our main base exports that build or boost our economy, and we are no longer able to export those because they're exported at such a higher tariff while we're importing those items at a lower tariff, it's going to cut out our manufacturing base, and all of the companies that are importing, that are paying these tariffs, are going to outsource. So in order to stop that from happening, you want to put tariffs on the corporations that left, try to get them to bring back the corporations into the United States of America so that tariff is no longer an issue. Now, they can pass the tariff on to the consumer, but most corporations are going to choose not to do that. They're going to choose not to do that because as the American consumer can choose where they want to buy their product and how much they want to buy it for. So if somebody is going to charge an extra $5 for a product that is being imported from China and you can get it for $5 less because it's made in the United States of America, that is the purpose of the tariff.
Perinji, you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. Tariffs are in fact a tool. They aren't inherently bad. Targeted tariffs to protect some like low-level, just very basic manufacturing could potentially be in our interest for us, like to keep up some sort of national security. Although I find it quite shaky to justify. As for the justification of tariffs of the extent that Mother is proposing, I think investing in things or supporting industries like raw resource manufacturing is inherently less productive and would move labor from more productive industries such as software engineering and technological development of things such as pharmaceuticals. To invest or support these less productive industries would inherently lessen our economic position on the world stage, making us weaker against our foreign and economic enemies like China. I do not want the U.S. to be in a precarious economic position towards China. I want the U.S. to be in a strong economic position towards China. And the future, and the way we do that is by securing peace and diplomacy. Sorry, I actually do have a script here. Is by securing peace and diplomacy with our allies across the sea, in Europe, Taiwan, and in Southeast Asia, and engaging in things like friendshoring in order to move manufacturing base from China to those other countries. The U.S. is privileged in being able to export things like thoughts and ideas, not manufacturing raw resources. It is most productive, and industries that are the most productive tend to be not to be in manufacturing and raw resource extraction.
Mother, you
I'm
have
gonna give
1
you 1
minute.
minute, and I'm not going to open it up. We're going to go to the next question, but it'll make sense on why. So.
Thoughts and ideas don't build a $29.4 trillion economy. So, our exports and what we manufacture into this country and what we build is what we make our money off of. Our military equipment especially is important. And if we don't have the technology that we need in this country to manufacture and make our own military equipment, one of the big reasons why we are the number one superpower in the world, we will lose our spot and fall below China. And friendshoring does not work when your friends are the next major exporter is China, and they are not your friend. They are literally trying to corner and take away from the U.S. economy by short marketing their other suppliers, such as, I don't know, Argentina with their soybeans and everything else. So if you allow a country to take advantage of you in one aspect, they will take advantage of you in every aspect, and then they will go by
Okay,
country
Mother.
by country, and they will start short staffing.
All right. Okay, Cringy, this next question is going to go to you first. Is it possible for the U.S. to maintain an aggressive adversarial posture against China across the domains of security, trade, and technology, while simultaneously achieving the level of trust and policy alignment necessary for genuinely effective long-term collaboration on climate action and other global public goods?
Yeah, probably not. No. If we're going to be like really adversarial towards them, they're probably just going to say fuck us and not care so much about climate change. Although they do seem to be moving towards solar, so maybe the interests of China not being completely flooded will or just ending up in a gigantic drought will probably align U.S. and China climate policy over time. But the adversarial relationship, I probably don't see being resolved until the other foreign and global, I guess, calamities are also resolved.
Okay, Mother, you have 2 minutes.
What was the question?
Oh, let me go back to it. I'm sorry. Give me 1 minute.
Basically, is it possible for us to maintain an aggressive posture towards China while simultaneously achieving a level of trust and respect? Like, can we ride both sides of that line to keep them where we want them, but get things done?
In my opinion, no, you can't be easy on China, and not even a little teeny tiny little bit. If you try to negotiate with them and they falter even a little tiny bit, you have to renegotiate or you have to pull. China is not the ones that are going to play kind when it comes to the United States of America and our economy. There's absolutely no inch that you can give them that they will not take a mile at. The minute we start playing nice or thinking that there's going to be some kind of like a mutual respect between America and China is the moment that the American people start to fucking lose more than we already have to that country. We've been working on a quote unquote ally type basis, and the manufacturing jobs that they have incentivized by taking to their country, including with the regulations in our own country, is a problem. If we keep allowing this to happen and the outsourcing to happen because we have a quote unquote ally relationship, we're not going to have any manufacturing. And pretty soon thoughts and ideas are going to be the only thing that we have to sell. And unfortunately, that's not going to maintain our economy.
Cringy, you have 1 minute to rebut.
Yeah, it is a privilege to export thoughts and ideas. Thoughts and ideas such as the latest patents for our amazing pharmaceuticals. I think it is a miracle of free market and free trade. And I think it's a miracle of the U.S. free capitalist system that our MMR vaccine was way better than China's ever could be, and we were able to get it to be more get it out faster and be more effective than China ever could. that exporting thoughts and ideas isn't profitable or isn't something that a country should strive for, I think is ridiculous. When we export our technologies, when we export our military technology, our military ideas, our pharmaceutical ideas, I think these things create a stronger nation. I think relying on our friends for more basic manufacturing needs is absolutely fine. I have no problem with that.
Constitution, would you like to open the floor for 4 minutes?
Yeah, because I don't think they're far off on this, so let's find some common ground.
Okay.
The problem that I have with that is that when we're paying for these innovations and this technology, the United States taxpayer is paying for this. We're paying for the funding. We're paying for the research. We're paying for the technology. And then when we decide that we're going to let other people use that technology, guess what they do? They steal those patents. They remake the fucking technology and then they sell it as their own. This is a problem that we have with China. The patent stealing is a problem. It's huge, not just for the United States, but other countries as well. This is where they make a big portion of their money is patent stealing. It's patent theft. Also, if we're going to be the ones that are paying for the innovation, the research, and the technology, then they need to be paying us for that. And there needs to be a set of guidelines to where if we're going to be selling this innovations and these ideas to other countries, then the American taxpayer needs to be getting a deal out of that. If we're going to be giving pharmaceuticals to China for hundreds of dollars cheaper than the American taxpayer is going to get it for, but we're the one paying for that technology and those innovations and that research, I think that is counterproductive. I think the United States of America needs to make sure that we have what we need here and that our people are taken care of. And if we're going to sell those things, then we need to sell them and make sure that that patent is secure and that it's ours, period.
It does seem like China wasn't able to get their hands on the MMR patent for whatever reason, even though it was a widely available vaccine. That I'm sure they could have probably copied a patent if they wanted to. There's still a reason that countries buy the F-35 from the U.S. It's not like China was able to reverse engineer that. In fact, the Soviet Union, our biggest enemy, wasn't able to reverse a lot of the U.S. technologies because the knowledge, the research and development costs, the technical know-how of the people in the U.S. far surpasses what is in China. For these specific manufacturing processes that require high levels of skill and years of results with hundreds, if not tens of thousands of PhD holders, China simply does not have this.
It's not just America, though. It's not just America that is paying for this technology. That's what I was saying when it comes to tariffs. This is also a reason why we give places like Israel $3.8 billion every single year, because that technology that goes into that equipment is built around Israel technology. So that's what I'm saying when it comes to being able to pick and choose who you're going to actually share technology with. You need to make sure that they're not going to be able to replicate, reproduce, or rename it and sell it as their own, which is a serious problem that we have with China when it comes to patent thieves. Also, IP theft. We have all kinds of serious problems that we're going over there, and nobody can deny that.
Yeah, diplomacy tends to help with that. So when countries are reliant on each other for trade items, such as China being reliant for food or us being reliant on China for some manufacturing, then they're less likely to engage in, I guess, like predatory behaviors like patent stealing. This is why globalism and interconnected trade routes throughout the world and countries being dependent on one another for certain specific resources encourages world peace and diplomacy.
No, if you have you cannot have peace and diplomacy with people that want to steal your ideas, your technology, and make it their own. It's just that it's counterproductive.
Do you think China's more or less likely to adhere to like international patent law if they're within the system and deeply connected with the system, or completely separate from the system?
I would argue that the only people that could make China agree or do that would be the trade or the WTO. not
Could you answer any of my questions, please? It's so frustrating.
When it comes to trade with China, that would be something that the WTO would have to take care of, not the United States of America. It doesn't have anything to do with diplomacy when the Belt and Road Initiative exists. When China is actively trying to take America's economy down, we need to take that into consideration.
Okay, guys, that's that. Yeah, and for that round, The next one is going to be the economy, and this goes to Mother. How should the current federal tax structure for both corporations and
That's not a
individuals be
question.
adjusted? Oh, it is?
There you go. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay.
We'll switch
How
it up.
should the current, that's okay. How should the current federal tax structure for both corporations and individuals be adjusted? And what specific economic benefit do the debaters project these changes would yield over the next 5 years?
I would argue that the current new tax cuts and what the implementations that have been done under the big beautiful bill and making the TCJA tax cuts permanent is a good start. When we have too high of corporate tax rates in the United States of America, it has been proven to show that American corporations, if they're being taxed too much and they have incentives from other countries such as China, they will move they will move manufacturing. They will outsource and they will move. So when you increase taxes to a point to where they don't want to pay it and they can get cheaper manufacturing, cheaper labor, and a cheaper import tax if the tariff, isn't being met, they're going to outsource. So I don't think that raising taxes on big corporations in the United States is going to help. I also don't think that taxing the 1% of earners at such a high rate or even higher than it is right now is going to be beneficial to the United States of America at all. I do think that if this happens, these 1% of earners are going to take that money and they're going to offshore it. They will leave the country with that money. They will use it in other places. They will not send it or spend it here. They will not invest it, especially when it's going to be taxed at such a high rate. Now, I do believe that the bottom 10% of earners, their taxes they're never going to change. They're never going to go up or down. I think that the middle class is really the ones that kind of take it the hardest when it comes to tax code, because they're the ones that they play with the most. And when they do that, it creates a bigger gap between the rich and the poor. And it has also been proven that when you cut corporate tax rates in the United States of America, production goes up, jobs increase, as well as revenue, and it boosts the economy. So I think that you got to be really careful when you're talking about adjusting or raising or doing things to taxes, because there's a domino effect that will happen if you do either or.
Okay, Cringy, you've got 2 minutes.
Yeah, I would say we ought to raise the taxes on both individuals and corporations in order to form a strong welfare state, such as in Norway. While I do not support the entirety of the American welfare system, mainly our healthcare programs, the benefits of high taxation in order to fund a welfare state is clear. For example, a report by the Center of Budget and Policy Priorities, they confirmed the benefits of programs like Social Security by stating, without Social Security, the poverty rate for those age 65 and over would meet or exceed nearly 40% in nearly 2/3 of states. With Social Security, it is less than 10% in nearly 2/3 of states. Another welfare program that provides overwhelming benefits to society is SNAP. As in a study titled "How Much Does SNAP Reduce Food Insecurity?" they said that SNAP recipients reduces the likelihood of being food insecure by roughly 30% and reduces the likelihood of being very food insecure by 20%. Because of the benefits of welfare programs such as Social Security and SNAP, we therefore ought to raise taxes to fund them. Particularly, I would advocate for the addition of a 15% consumption tax, the raising of income tax brackets by 2%, and an increase in corporate tax by removing certain corporate tax deductions and credits like the fuel tax credit and opportunity zones. The implementation of this tax regime would bring us more in line with countries that have high quality of life as a result of strong welfare states such as Norway.
Okay, Mother, you've got 1 minute to rebuttal.
I don't know what he just said. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, it's
I don't listen to what my opponent says. True.
Again, it's my turn. Again, so raising taxes on the United States taxpayer is not a good thing. We should only do this when it is absolutely fucking necessary. Every single time. We shouldn't just, oh, the government spent too much fucking money this time. I guess we just raise the taxes on the American people. No, that's not what we do, because this is what's causing this problem. This is why corporations are leaving the United States. This is why manufacturing is plummeting. This is why we have all of the problems that we have, is because they keep raising the taxes and raising the taxes, and then they cause these, and then they regulate. And when you regulate and you tax, the incentive to leave grows by about 1,000%.
Okay. Constitution, would you like to open it up for 4 minutes?
Yeah, that's fine.
There you go. Floor is yours, guys.
Okay, so Mother, has Social Security like net benefited society?
What?
Did Social Security dramatically reduce the elderly poverty rate?
Social Security? Did it reduce?
Dramatically, the elderly poverty rate.
In my personal opinion, no, it didn't.
Okay, well, I just gave you. I cited a study.
It actually.
If you listen to what I said, I cited a study, so it's going to be untrue.
I literally do not care what study you cited.
Okay, so you don't. Okay, so you don't care what studies or experts have to say.
Listen,
You care what Mother has to
so are
say.
you gonna-
So why
okay,
should I
no,
engage
I
in a
don't
debate
care what
where the only thing that
ChatGPT has
matters
to
is
say,
your
bro.
opinion?
So, no, the way that I see it personally is that the American people should be allowed to have that their Social Security and all of that shit put into a bank account of their own, so that they have control over it. That's what I think.
Okay, so
I think that
hypothetically,
Social
wait.
Security has been a Ponzi scheme upon the American people, to where everybody else is paying for everybody else. And maybe one day, by the time you get to the age that you need to be to collect it, it might not be bankrupt. But again, it might be. So personally, in my opinion, I think what the government should do is they should allow people to have their Social Security taken out of their check, and they should be able to do what they want with it. And then
I'm just curious.
at the end of their fucking age, when they don't have anything,
Jesus
guess whose
Christ.
responsibility it's going to be? It's going to be their responsibility. It's not going to be the government's responsibility.
I'm
I
just-
also think that
I'm just-
Social Security is being used as the government's personal fucking piggy bank. I think that this is a problem when you're borrowing from Social
Mother,
Security
Mother,
and you're borrowing
Mother,
from Medicaid,
chill out,
and you're
Mother.
borrowing it with an interest rate that is much higher than any interest rate that the American people would have to pay on their own, or that they would be able to garner from saving their Social Security and investing it.
Okay,
So to
Mother, in a
answer your
hypothetical
question,
society,
no,
where
I
okay,
think
wait, I'm
that
just curious.
Our elderly are poor.
Mother,
They're
please,
always
Mother,
been poor, and
Mother,
they're still fucking
Mother,
poor.
Mother, chill out, please. Hypothetically,
see, this is
if Social Security, wait, no,
I don't like.
no,
Listen,
wait,
I've been
Mother,
debating
hypothetically,
ChatGPT
wait, no,
for
doesn't
an
mean you get the
hour,
yap for
bro.
fucking
I'm
ever. I'm
tired.
sorry. Mother, hypothetically, if Social Security was a net benefit to society, would you advocate for the expansion of that program?
A net benefit? What? Explain a net benefit. Can you explain
Whatever
that
you
to
take.
me?
Do you think things can net benefit society?
Was that the question that I just asked you? Explain to me how Social Security is a net benefit. That's my question. Explain it.
I'm sorry, excuse me. I did. I asked you hypothetically, for sake of argument, if there is a society where
asked
Social
you-
Security.
You're asking me a question.
So I asked you
I
a
need to
hypothetical,
determine
and to
what
that
net
hypothetical.
benefit you think
So okay,
that
wait,
it is.
wait, Mother. How do you? I don't think you understand how this works. I asked you a hypothetical question, and in response,
deal in
you
hypotheticals.
asked me to prove that it does. This was a hypothetical. Can you answer the question?
I don't deal in hypotheticals.
It's going to be dodge number 1. Moving on to try number 2. It's going to be dodge number 2. Moving on to try number 3. Dodge number 3. I'll take it as a concession. Anything else?
This will be the final question.
Yes, and this goes to Cringy first. Okay. What is a specific, measurable plan to address the long-term sustainability of the national debt, and which areas of mandatory or discretionary spending should be prioritized for reform or reduction?
Probably don't need like a $1 trillion military budget. Probably don't need to spend a bunch of billions of dollars on ice for the border wall. Just increase funding and just literally just increase tax revenue. Stuff like defunding the IRS, and the Tax Cuts and Job Act are only going to hurt our deficit. If we actually wanted to solve it, which, to be clear here, the deficit's not nearly as big an issue as people make it out to be. Again, there's nothing like inherently bad with debt. Just increase tax revenue, and then don't spend it on like ridiculous policies.
Okay, Mother, you go ahead and have 2 minutes.
The debt is unsustainable. Any way you look at it is unsustainable. We need to cut. We need to start cutting bullshit out of the federal government spending. We need to get rid of departments that we do not need. We need to find out who is spending our money and where it is going. And if it is not going to the intended purposes, we need to get rid of it. We need to cut it out. If we are delegating billions and billions of dollars to go to feeding certain countries, that money should not be going to like promulgate LGBTQ agendas in other countries. That money is not for that. I don't know why our money is being going to fund things that we couldn't even afford in our own countries, but is going to afford things in other countries. We cannot sustain this if we do not start cutting the federal waste that is happening in the country, as well as the lag that we have and the resource strain on illegal immigration and immigration altogether when it's not legal. We are drowning. $150 billion every single year just to house and clothe people that are not Americans is a problem. When we have our government spending billions and billions of dollars on researching on animals, then when we know that this does not give us any beneficial outcomes at all, we need to stop doing that. When we have big pharma taking taxpayer dollars, but are then using those taxpayer dollars to then tax the American people on their pharmaceuticals by over 500 times what they tax other countries, yeah, that's a problem. We need big pharma is a problem. Big education is a problem. I think these institutions, Harvard and all of these other places, do not need to be getting the federal funding that they're getting every single year. I think as these Ivy League schools, if the parents want to send their kids there, great, fine, they can pay for it. If not, I think that a lot of this money needs to be going into trade schools. It needs to be going into teaching these children how to do manufacturing and agriculture and business.
Yeah, okay, the less productive jobs. Yep, the less productive jobs. We need to increase I want a less productive society. Yep, of course. For sure.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I didn't know I was
Cringy, I'm so
done.
sorry. You shouldn't be talking. Yeah, you shouldn't be talking over her. That was her time. You now have a minute to rebuttal.
Sure. Again, it's clear we shouldn't be investing in trade schools. Trade schools are trade industries are less productive than industries like software development or people who are able to get a college degree or diploma. I believe I want a more productive nation with a more productive economy. I don't know why somebody would possibly advocate for the increase to trade schools massively, and it just doesn't seem like something that is reasonable for the future of our economy or the outlook of America on the world stage, again, against enemies like China. I would like to ask, though, if raising taxes benefits society, ought we raise taxes? I would like that question answered by a mother, because I would say that raising taxes does benefit society and that we do ought to raise taxes. Again, I have proven that programs like Social Security, the study I gave you to studies, I've proven that programs like SNAP do in fact benefit society. I see no reason to defund them. The type of fraud that mother is suggesting just simply isn't happening.
Okay, you guys have 4 minutes with an open panel.
Okay, so mother, if raising taxes benefited society, ought we raise taxes?
Fucking fraud. I didn't say anything about fraud, so I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you're talking about I'm sorry, I meant waste. You were talking about government waste, or where the money's going. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Yeah. But if taxes benefited society, ought we raise taxes?
Is that what you said?
No, can I get an answer to that question real quick?
Government waste doesn't exist. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying it's not. I'm saying not to the extent you're not to the extent.
Government waste doesn't exist.
Hey, mother. So I asked you a question. Can I get a goddamn answer?
$200 billion that has been found that we're selling just on.
Do you understand how conversation works? You're supposed to answer that.
Haven't been renegotiated, but the bill is still being paid. Tens of billions of dollars are being to fulfill government contracts that have been expired for over 10 fucking years. This is hundreds of billions of dollars that the American taxpayers are paying while the government contracts are expired. This is hundreds of billions of dollars worth of waste in the government that you're talking about.
I'm just curious. If raising taxes benefits society, ought we raise taxes?
We have $37 trillion.
If raising taxes benefited society, ought we raise taxes?
There's no government waste or fraud.
Mother, I need you to stop rambling about irrelevant shit, and I need you to start answering the questions I ask you.
About the debt. Actually, I'm still on the call. I
need you to start answering this question. If raising taxes benefits. Mother, if raising taxes, I literally do not give a shit what you're talking about right now. If raising taxes benefited society, ought we raise taxes?
Spending from the military, like you said, then why wouldn't you, number one, be all about auditing the government and finding out where our money is going and making sure that the Pentagon isn't blowing our money on shit that we aren't supposed to be spending money on? It's been 7 years since they've been able to pass a fucking audit.
If raising taxes benefits
into the Pentagon than we shovel into any other.
Okay, it's gonna be dodge number one.
By the way. So
it's gonna be dodge number two.
Why, if it's gonna
be dodge number three. Yeah, you act like an impetulant child. I'll take this concession.
Why the Pentagon hasn't been able to pass an audit for 7 fucking years? That's what I would like to know.
Okay, if raising taxes benefited society, ought we raise taxes?
Talking about the Pentagon not passing an audit, I don't know where you're going with this.
So that was the first question I asked you, and you didn't answer it. So can I get an answer to that question?
I'm talking about government.
It's going to be... Okay, so it's going to be dodge number one. Moving on to try number two. If you raise taxes, if taxes benefit society, ought we raise taxes?
Spending, then why hasn't the Pentagon?
It's going to be dodge number two. Moving on to try number three. If raising taxes benefits society, ought we raise taxes?
You're not running the debate. Like, I asked you a specific question.
It's dodge number three. I'll take it as a concession.
And you're not answering it.
I'm literally. I don't want to have to handhold you through this entire debate. I don't want to have to debate an impetulant child who won't answer basic questions. Did you finish first grade? Do you know how to answer a question when I ask it?
Raise taxes.
Do you know what a Socratic seminar is?
Why are we raising taxes on Americans before we know where
when somebody asks you?
That's what I want.
When somebody asks you, "Did you have waffles for breakfast?" You go on a ramble about how good pancakes are because I asked you a basic question and you were not able to fucking respond.
I need to know why are we raising taxes on the American people before we are finding out where the money is going that has already
going to be a non-answer to the question I asked you, Mother. So if I'm going to ask you again, if raising taxes benefited society, ought we raise taxes, Mother?
All over the place.
Ought we raise taxes, Mother?
No, we're not.
Ought we raise taxes?
No, we should not raise taxes.
So you don't want to do things that benefit society, Mother. You're telling me that you don't want to do things that benefit society.
We should find out where
you want society to suffer. You want me to suffer. You want everybody else to suffer.
From Social Security. This is very easy to understand.
Well, as far as the debate goes,
and children don't understand it.
That's going to be time for that. All right. So, look, as far as the debate, I appreciate everybody showing up. Okay. Cringy, it was awesome. Mother, it was awesome. Everybody that helped out with it, I appreciate it. The mods in chat, Trish reading, everybody. Y'all can continue talking about it. Whatever.
Well, he lived up to his name. He was cringy as fuck.
100%.
Oh, let's debate an impetulant child. Since I assume
this
impetulant child also hates all sorts of channelers who don't want to answer fucking questions, I'll be leaving this chat. Have a good day. Subscribe.